I stared at my phone, reading the group text for the fifth time. The blue bubbles in our family chat seemed to mock me after 12 years of hosting elaborate Thanksgiving celebrations. Mom, your father and I have decided we need a peaceful Thanksgiving this year. We're celebrating without you. Just immediate family, your brothers and their wives. Dad, it's nothing personal. We just need a break from the intensity, you understand. Brother Mike, finally, Brother Tom, much needed change. For 12 years, I'd transformed their house into a autumn wonderland every November. I'd wake up at 4 a.m. to start cooking, carefully preparing everyone's favorite dishes. I'd decorated every corner, bought personalized gifts, and spent weeks planning activities for the kids. I'd even hired professional cleaners before and after, ensuring their house remained spotless. I texted back, "Enjoy." Then I silently opened my laptop and emailed my property manager. I'd purchased their house 7 years ago, when they were facing foreclosure, using an LLC to keep my identity hidden. They'd never knew their generous anonymous investor, who offered them a lease-to-own agreement, was their own daughter. I'd kept their rent artificially low, covering most of the property taxes myself. Please proceed with standard market rate adjustments for January, I typed, and schedule the annual property inspection for November 25th. The day after Thanksgiving, my phone buzzed again, more family messages celebrating their peaceful holiday plans. Mom, I'm thinking of trying that cranberry recipe this year. I smiled slightly, remembering the secret family recipe she'd never quite mastered. The one I'd perfected over 12 years of practice. The one that required exactly 3 hours of preparation and precise temperature control. Brother Mike, can't wait for a drama-free holiday. Brother Tom, remember last year when she insisted on organic turkey, so controlling. That controlling organic turkey had cost me $300. I'd special ordered it from a local farm, along with all the sides, spending over $1,000 on food alone. Every year, I'd quietly covered all Thanksgiving expenses, letting them believe they were the ones hosting. My phone lit up with a private text from my mother. "You can drop off your cranberry sauce the day before. At least contribute something useful." I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my documents folder, reviewing the property records. 7 years ago, their financial situation had been dire. Multiple missed mortgage payments, mounting credit card debt, and my father's medical bills had pushed them to the brink of bankruptcy. I'd stepped in anonymously, using my tech company earnings to save their home. The lease agreement was clear. Rent would adjust to market rate after 7 years unless otherwise specified. I'd kept it at barely $1,000 monthly for a $750,000 house. The current market rate was triple that. Another group text from Dad. "This year we'll make new traditions, better ones." I smiled again, remembering all the traditions I'd carefully crafted. The thankful tree where everyone hung gratitude notes. The family photo wall I updated yearly. The holiday scavenger hunt for the kids. The memory book I maintained with photos and recipes. My property manager replied, "Market rate notice will go out next week. Inspection scheduled for November 25th, 10 a.m. Would you like to be present?" "No," I replied. "But please take detailed photos of any maintenance issues." More texts rolled in about their peaceful plans. Mom was already struggling with the menu. Dad was worried about fitting everyone in their small dining room, the one I'd furnished with an expandable table and comfortable chairs, all credited to their anonymous benefactor. Brother Mike, maybe we can watch the game without someone insisting on family activities. Those activities had included professional family photos, cookie decorating stations for the kids, and holiday craft projects I'd spent months planning, all funded from my own pocket. My phone rang, Mom calling. I let it go to voicemail. "Just checking if you're upset about Thanksgiving," she said in the recording. "You understand, right? We just need a normal family holiday. Drop the cranberry sauce on Wednesday. Don't forget, it's the least you can do." I opened my calendar and marked November 25th. Then I emailed my lawyer to review the lease agreement and property inspection requirements. Everything needed to be perfectly legal and documented. Another group text from Tom. "Finally a Thanksgiving, where we can relax." They had no idea how much work went into making those celebrations appear effortless. The professional cleaners, the rented dishes, the backup supplies, the emergency repairs I'd handled quietly, the new water heater last year, the fixed furnace, the replaced windows, all maintenance issues I'd resolved as their anonymous landlord. My property manager sent the draft market rate notice, $3,200 monthly, starting January. Approved, I replied. Mom texted privately again. Since you're not coming, can we borrow your serving platters and turkey roasting pan? The ones I'd bought, the expensive ones they thought were kept at their house, but actually came with me each year. Sorry, not available, I texted back. More celebratory messages filled the family chat, plans for football and card games, discussions of simplified menus, mom struggling to remember recipes I'd always handled. I closed my laptop and smiled. November would be interesting this year. Sometimes peace comes at a price. The weeks before Thanksgiving brought a steady stream of increasingly frantic family messages. Mom, does anyone remember the temperature for the turkey? Where are those nice tablecloths we always use? Did we always have 3 types of potatoes? I watched silently as their peaceful holiday plans unraveled. The tablecloths were mine. The recipe cards were in my kitchen. The expensive roasting pan they couldn't find was sitting in my pantry. 12 years of hosting meant 12 years of quietly accumulating all the essential equipment. A week before Thanksgiving, the market rate notice arrived at their house. My property manager forwarded me their immediate response. There must be some mistake. Our rent has been $1,000 for 7 years. We can't afford triple that amount. Please contact the property owner. I archived the email without replying. The family group chat shifted from celebratory to stressed. Dad, anyone have a turkey baster? Can't find ours. Mom, the good plates are missing. And the gravy boat. Tom, what time should everyone arrive? Mike, who's bringing ice? We always had plenty before. I'd always arrived at 4 a.m. with coolers full of ice, backup supplies, and emergency replacements for anything that might go wrong. They'd never noticed. 3 days before Thanksgiving, Mom called 4 times. I let each call go to voicemail. The grocery store is out of fresh cranberries. Do you still have that recipe for the sweet potato casserole? Where did you usually get the turkey? At least tell me where you bought those nice napkins. Dad sent a private text. Your mother's struggling with the planning. Maybe you could share some tips. I replied with a link to basic Thanksgiving recipes from a cooking website. The day before Thanksgiving, their panic peaked. Mom, the turkey's still frozen. Tom, can't find the card tables and extra chairs. Mike, does anyone have serving utensils? Dad, the kitchen sink is clogged. The sink that I'd always carefully maintained, knowing holiday cooking would strain it. The extra tables and chairs I'd quietly provided each year. The serving utensils that lived in my catering kit. That evening, my mother's texts turned desperate. Just drop off the cranberry sauce, please, and maybe the roasting pan. Could you come early to help set up? We'll still have our peaceful dinner, but we need a few things. I turned off my notifications and reviewed the property inspection checklist for the next day. The lease required 24-hour notice for inspections. My property manager had sent it 2 weeks ago. Thanksgiving morning, my phone exploded. Mom, the oven's not heating properly. Dad, where's the meat thermometer? Tom, kids are asking about the craft table. Mike, no one can find the football channel. The oven I'd carefully calibrated each year before cooking. The thermometer in my kitchen drawer. The craft supplies I'd always brought. The TV settings I'd quietly programmed. At 2 p.m., my mother called in tears. Everything's wrong. The turkey's dry. The potatoes are lumpy. We can't find half the serving dishes. And your father can't remember how to set up the TV for football. Maybe you could come over, just to help. We'd still have our peaceful dinner. But, sorry, I replied. Enjoy your peace. I spent my Thanksgiving evening reviewing property inspection requirements and market rate comparisons for the neighborhood. The inspection was scheduled for 10 a.m. tomorrow. 7 years of hidden property ownership were about to become very public. At 9 p.m., the family chat lit up one last time. Mom, well, that was different. Tom, kids missed the activities. Mike, turkey was a bit dry. Dad, maybe next year we'll try something else. I smiled and set my alarm for tomorrow's inspection. Sometimes the price of peace is higher than expected. The morning after Thanksgiving, I arrived at their house at 9:55 a.m. My property manager was already waiting outside, clipboard in hand. At exactly 10 a.m., she rang the doorbell. Mom opened the door, still in her robe, looking exhausted. Her eyes widened when she saw me standing behind the property manager. Good morning, my property manager said professionally. We're here for the scheduled property inspection. I'm representing the owner, who is also present. Mom's face shifted from confusion to shock as she looked between us. The owner, I stepped forward. Yes, I'm the owner, through my LLC. The silence was deafening. Dad appeared behind her, coffee cup frozen, halfway to his mouth. That's not possible, he stammered. All documentation is in order, my property manager stated, pulling out the property records. Miss Johnson has owned this property for 7 years, since assuming the mortgage in 2018. My parents stood frozen as we entered. The house was a mess. Dirty dishes piled up, food stains on the carpet, furniture out of place, everything I'd always quietly maintained and protected. We'll need to inspect all rooms, my property manager announced, starting with the kitchen. Mom followed us in a daze. But, the anonymous investor, the lease agreement, that was me, I said calmly, watching the property manager photograph the clogged sink, the miscalibrated oven, the water damage under the window. I'd always monitored. The maintenance issues will need to be addressed, my property manager noted. And of course the new market rate begins January 1st. Dad found his voice. We can't afford triple rent. You know that. You could have discussed that during yesterday's peaceful family dinner, I replied evenly. My brothers chose that moment to arrive, planning to help clean up. They stopped short at the scene in the kitchen. What's going on? Mike asked. Property inspection, I said. I'm checking my investment. You're what? Tom's face went pale. The property manager moved methodically through the house, documenting every issue I'd previously handled quietly. The loose railings, the worn carpets, the leaky faucets. My family followed in stunned silence. These items will need repair within 30 days per the lease agreement, she announced, reviewing her notes. I'll send a detailed report this afternoon. But we've lived here for decades, Mom protested weakly. You've rented here for 7 years, I corrected. Since I prevented the foreclosure you never told me about. The foreclosure I discovered, accidentally, when I overheard Dad crying on the phone with the bank. The memory hung in the air. My father's desperate calls, my mother's hidden bills, their silence as I kept hosting elaborate holidays, while they faced financial ruin. Why didn't you tell us? Dad asked quietly. Would it have changed anything? I replied. Would you have accepted help from your difficult daughter, the one who needed to be excluded for peace? My brothers stared at the floor. Mom started crying softly. The property inspection is complete, my property manager announced. Expect the full report and maintenance requirements today. Market rate adjustment. Notices have already been sent. She headed for the door, leaving my family standing in their messy living room, the room I decorated for 12 Thanksgivings. You can't do this, Mike said finally. Actually, I can. It's my house. I turned to leave, then paused. By the way, that anonymous Christmas bonus you all receive each year, the one that always covers your holiday expenses, that was also me. Their faces showed the slow dawn of understanding, years of secret support revealed. We didn't know, Mom whispered. No, you didn't. You never asked. You never noticed. You just decided you needed peace from your controlling, intense daughter, who apparently made holidays too special. I reached the door. Enjoy your peaceful winter. The market rate starts January 1st. I hear cranberry sauce. Stains are hard to remove from carpet. You might want to clean that up before it sets. I left them standing in my house. The house I'd secretly protected for 7 years, while they took credit for its maintenance, its holidays, its memories. My phone buzzed with the property manager's preliminary report. Multiple maintenance violations, all requiring immediate attention. The same issues I'd always handled quietly during my pre-holiday preparations. Mom's text arrived an hour later. We're so sorry. Can we talk? I didn't reply. Sometimes peace comes at a price, and sometimes that price is learning the true value of what you carelessly discarded. They wanted a peaceful holiday, without me. They got exactly what they asked for, along with all the consequences they never considered. I smiled and marked my calendar for Christmas. I wondered how peaceful that holiday would be when they realized I also owned their winter cabin in Vermont.